So from there, we defined a set of modules. We think this is the beginning of the sort of the CEO handbook, if you will, for academic environmental leaders. And so the Leopold program has essentially always followed these lines, but for this coming year's training, we've actually strengthened some of the linkages between these different areas. So the strategic planning module is really about helping the fellows to figure out what the problem is and how to define a strategy for engagement. The second module is about communication, so figuring out how to craft your message about your work to share with others. Policy is about asking for change, and then partnering is really figuring out who else needs to be at the table in order for you to be successful and get where you need to go. The other thing that's really important about the way the trainings are run is that the design of the training to fit this model is that we try to be very hands-on. We do a series of action learning, case studies, and problem solving. We give the fellows a series of kind of internships and opportunities for reflection so that they can absorb what they've learned and make it their own. And we also do give them coaching and feedback. So in designing the program for Stanford, we took these same things and thought about how to, the Leopold Fellows have a very different set of needs, as I've said, from the Stanford researchers. And so the things that we felt were really important were to be checking in periodically with our research collaborations to find out where they were in their process and what kinds of trainings and services they might need. So using the check-ins, we can then identify what the needs are and either connect them with something that's going on campus already or develop it with them ourselves. And the with is really important. That third bullet there on co-construction is huge. It's really important to tailor what you're doing to the people who are going to be actually going through your training. And so we work very closely with our research groups to figure out what it is they're looking for and then to determine the best way to run a workshop so that they can get what they need. So I think our core insights in building this program are really the list you see here. It's so important to have champions to help you get this kind of thing going if that's what you decide you want to do. We have faculty at Woods who are just incredibly supportive of this kind of work and understand where the skills piece fits in with the academic piece of doing the research. The second piece, as I've said, is about assessing needs. It's so important to do that needs assessment and to tailor what you're doing to the people who are going to be involved in it. The third thing is to integrate the skills and content. If the skills piece if the leadership training, the communications, the kinds of things we've done in Leopold is not integrated with the content that the researchers are working with, it really is far less meaningful and far less likely to be effective. The third thing is, of course, the networking, which we've talked about. And then finally, this field is really evolving very, very rapidly. And it's just important to, you may go into things with one idea and then realize that you have to change course and you just need to be constantly asking questions and adaptively managing your process. So I think that's it. Are there any questions? No? Okay, good. Okay.
Zach, I'm the executive director of the New Jersey Higher Education Partnership for Sustainability, which is 47 colleges trying to do what you're trying to do. But the question I've been commented about, we have to be very interdisciplinary to really solve some of these problems. And yet, in both the Bard situation and Stanford, I think you have the same problem that the people that are interested in coming are people that are already interested in the environment, either in environmental policy or in environmental research, and getting involved in it. How do you get people that are not environmental experts already to get them to become environmental leaders on these issues? How do you get financial people? How do you get lawyers? How do you get managers? How do you get politicians? How do you get people, Joe the plumber? How do you get those people to become environmental leaders, and how do we train people to do that and become that? And have you looked at that as trying to do that as part of your programs?
Conceptually, in my mind, the way to do this is to really use evidence-based research to show people who lead sort of regular lives that their lives are deeply intertwined with the environment. For example, one of our colleagues here at the college, Felicia Keesing, her work and her colleagues' work shows that if you if you indulge in sort of indiscriminate cutting of trees in a town like ours over here, that can lead to a higher incidence of Lyme disease. And that's very well documented. I mean, her work is excellent. And if we can communicate that kind of work to regular people, they become much more sensitive and much more sort of in tune with what they should be doing.
I'm Bob Henshaw. I did 20 years with New York State government, and then I did several years here helping with the birthing of BCEP, so I have a real place in my heart for BCEP. I want to draw the distinction between what the rest of campus has as its charge and what BCEP has. Your name is policy. That means you're going to effect change. You're not going to be giving a liberal education so much to Joe the plumber as setting up a system in which Joe's survival and future is assured. So it seems to me that it's very important that your curriculum be aimed at this policy level rather than doing or making science. Yes, understand it, but you're using science as opposed to creating science. And then your ways of influencing are going to be largely determined by at what level you go into the public sector. After my 20 years, I can assure you that the larger percentage of people that come in with good scientific training and all those social skills and a good liberal arts background, they retired at the same level with the same job, basically, that they entered with. There was another group who came into policy, usually out of law, never out of geography or history or economics, who were in policy. They were born into a leadership opportunity, and they needed your education and your guidance. So the graduates from here should go in at that level with your help.
Using science is exactly right, but the question for us is, do we create sort of intelligent consumers of science or not so intelligent consumers of science? And that's where the debate for us lies. Like, how far do we go, and how much rigor do we provide in the syllabus, in our curriculum, that makes our students become intelligent and smart consumers of science? We know that very few of them are going to get PhDs and actually do primary research. As far as Monique's earlier point, I think it's right that the reality is that facts matter a lot less than we would like them to matter. But the question for me, at least, is there's a difference in saying facts don't matter or and facts shouldn't matter. And I think what we are trying to, at least personally, what I would like to see is that facts should matter more and more in policy making, and that's the impetus for me to sort of push the sort of the scientific underpinnings.